These are shark-infested waters. Danger lurks all around. There are sharks circling you right now. Is this the Pacific? The South China Sea? No. This is the business insurance industry. Don't take chances with your business insurance. Call High House Insurance, your local business insurance experts. We don't pay to be on comparison websites, so your premiums are better value. For a free no-obligation quote, call Celsey 606 552. High House, local, reliable insurance. High Street, Celsey.
Yes, Manhood Internet Radio, the station that cares, and we do care indeed. We're going to start this week off with our usual look at what's going on in and around the peninsula for the coming week with What's On. And there we go with What's On for this week. Well, Tuesday the 15th of March, a Carers Coffee Morning at 10:30am, and that's at the Carers Place in 109 High Street, and everybody's welcome to that. You can go along there and have a cup of coffee and a chat. On Wednesday the 16th of March, Family History Drop-In Session at Selsey Library, and that's from 2 till 4pm. It's exclusive to library members, and Ancestry, the popular family history resource, is now available free in Selsey Library. And this session is intended to help you get started on your journey of finding records of your ancestors. Perhaps not always a good thing. I don't know if I want to find all mine. Anyway, we move on. On Thursday the 17th of March is a Health and Wellbeing Hub, and that's also at Selsey Library from 2 till 4pm. And you can go along and have a free 20-minute health check by a wellbeing advisor from Chichester Wellbeing Hub, but booking is essential for that one, so make sure you get your name down. And also on Thursday, you got Link, that's Ladies in Contact, at St Peter's Church Hall at 7:15, and a talk and demonstration of yoga by Jill Piango. A £2 entrance includes tea and coffee, biscuits and a raffle ticket, and everybody's welcome. On Friday the 18th of March, well, the U3A have their monthly meeting at the Selsey Centre. That starts at 2:30pm, and the speaker for that is Jonathan Jones, and he'll be talking about Rudyard Kipling. On Saturday the 19th of March, Wild Families Arts and Crafts at Pagham Harbour Visitor Centre. And starting with a walk, taking in the sights, sounds, smells and feel of spring to inspire you, and then return to create works of art using things you've found and collected along the way. And that starts at 10:30am and runs through till 12:30pm, and the price is £4 per child or £2 for RSPB Wildlife Explorer members. Also on Saturday evening, you've got the HB Band appearing at Selsey Royal British Legion at 6:30. And new members are always welcome there, so you can get along there and become a member. On Sunday the 20th of March, well, someone to guide you at Medmerry. Now, if you're unsure of what that bird is that you're looking at, and that would be me, the guides down at Medmerry there, they'll be only too happy. They'll be at the stilt pools, and they'll be only too happy to identify them for you and tell you what you're looking at, which is not a bad thing. You can park at the Ernley car park, and that's PO27JL, and walk from there. And that's a drop-in session between 11am and 2pm, and it's free entry, so you can't do any better than free. That'd be a nice stroll and educational as well. And there's some good blokes down there. They're good, well, no, I shouldn't say good blokes because there's ladies as well. But they're a good bunch down there, and they really know their stuff. And also on Sunday, the 20th of March, Respite Tea, and that's East Beach Evangelical Church at 3pm, and that's aimed at those who might not see other people over the course of a normal weekend, and lifts are available for that. So, you know, if people that are on their own weekends and they don't see their friends and family and they want to pop along there for a bit of company, well, that's a great place to go. Monday the 21st of March, and this is a really important one to the community, you can go along and meet Selsey First Responders at the Selsey Venture Club. Now this starts at 7pm. The organisation are in a desperate need of more volunteers to man this vital community service, and it is a vital community service, I promise you. if you've ever had them knock on your door when you're not feeling too good, I'm sure you all appreciate just how important they are. Also on Monday the 21st March, we've got We Will Rock You at the Academy Salesy. The tickets are available from school reception, and there'll be further information to follow on that, but I guess it don't want to be too long, otherwise it'll be too late. And that's also on Tuesday. Now, I don't have any information on ticket prices for that, but you'll be able to get that from the school. And that's it for Salesy for this week. We'll go across now to Bracklesham and the Witterings. Now, at Bracklesham Barn, there's all sorts going on over there. On Mondays, they have Vinyasa Flow Yoga, the Little Ducklings Toddler Group, Short Mat Bowls, Yoga Fit, and Ladies Kickboxing, which starts this week on the 14th of March. On Tuesdays, table tennis, that's February, that's a Tuesday drop-in. There's gentle yoga and relaxation. Love Laughter, now that sounds like a fun one, you should have a look at that. Badminton and Pilates. On Wednesdays, we have table tennis Wednesdays, that's a drop-in once again. Gyrokinesis, and my old favourite, of course, belly dancing. There's short mat bowls, Zumba with Louise, and a sweat zone. On Thursdays, Busy Bugs Toddler Gym, the Thursday group, that's the first Thursday of every month. Art class for children, and Seen It, which is the theatre, and that's at Bracklesham Barn. On Fridays, Vinyasa Flow Yoga with Lou, and also short mat bowls. And of course on Sunday mornings, they have the Windrush Church Fellowship Group. Now, if you'd like any more information on any of these, you can visit their website, and that's www.brackleshambarn.co.uk. Because if you want to go to any of these, you need to look up the individual contact details, because these are run by individuals and not by Bracklesham Barn itself. So you would need to check with them. And that's about it for this week. Now, if you live in the Bracklesham Witterings area or any other area on the peninsula, and you feel you're being left out and nobody's mentioning us, well, that's because we don't have the information. And so if you'd like to send us any information you have about anything at all that's going on, and send it to us. Now, you can either text it at 07551193019, or you can email us at manhoodinternetradio@gmail.com. Send us your information and we'll be more than happy to put it up for you. Well, the first signs of spring are here. Well, it must be spring because Becky's back at the bill. Yes, the snack wagon that's up there during the spring and through the summer is back again, and you can go and sit up there and have a cup of tea and a piece of cake or whatever is your fancy. And I know a good many of you do. So Becky's back, so you can pop along there and have some tea and cake. Lovely. And while we're on things that have been going on, you may remember a couple of weekends ago, 2 Saturdays ago, there was a charity fundraiser held at the Town Hall by Bobby Barnes and friends. And just to update you on that, we're very, very pleased to say that the evening raised £500 for St Wilfrid's Hospice. So £500 going to St Wilfrid's Hospice, and thanks to everybody that came. And our first guest in the studio today is Roy Newnham, and Roy is from the RSPB down at Pagham and Medmerry. Well, good morning, Roy, and what kind of stuff have we got going on down at the RSPB Pagham Harbour and Medmerry this month?
Yes, event-wise, on the 19th, we've got a family event coming up. We've got the Wild Families Arts and Crafts coming up, and the events team will be going for a little walk, taking in the sights, the sounds, the smells of spring as it starts to creep in, and then we're coming back to create some arts and craft things that have inspired us along the way. That's on the Saturday the 19th of March. The following day we've got our guiding team. They're going to be over on Medmerry on the Sunday the 20th of March. Tony and Barksy and his team, they're going to be down there telling people what they can see down by the stilt pools and what's about, and showing them through the scopes and things. And then towards the end of March, we've got our walk in the past. So it's a gentle stroll around the northern end of Pagham Harbour, taking in the stories of the Salt House and around Siddlesham and that area as well. So that's on the Saturday, 26th of March. So there's plenty of things coming up there.
Yes, indeed. There's an awful lot going on. Now, just to interject there with some information that I'm reading in front of me. I don't know this off the top of my head. But the Wild Founders Arts and Crafts Day, that starts at 10:30 a.m. That lasts 2 hours, and that's £4 a child and £2 for members. And the Someone to Guide You, that's from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. and that's a drop-in, and that's free. So, I mean, there's nothing better than free.
Absolutely.
And a walk in the past, and booking is essential for this because you need to. They need to know that you're coming, and that's £8 per person and £4 for members, and that should be extremely interesting. That one, I wouldn't mind going on that myself.
Yes, there's loads of history around the harbour and around Medmerry as well. Things from smuggling days to the land settlement agreements, to the archaeology over on Medmerry as well. So there's lots of things around the area, and we're doing regular walks every quarter, a historical kind of walk.
Well, that's great stuff. Yeah, that really is interesting stuff. I mean, you think you might think you know quite a bit about the area, but there's an awful lot that you don't know. Well, I don't know certainly, you know, but most people would drive past regularly and not know that some, the history of the harbour itself.
There's such a rich history around the area because of it being a harbour in the past. So from that side, it used to be quite a thriving port in the Middle Ages, right up until the late late 19th century. I think it was quite a thriving port. So yes, there's loads of stories about Sidlesham Quay, one of the biggest mill houses in the country. There's stories about, as I say, the land settlement, about planes coming down in the harbour during the war. It being used as a bombing range over on Medmerry and parts of Pagham Harbour as well. So there's lots of historical culture there as well.
Well, don't give too much away there, Roy, because we want people to come down and learn the rest of it for themselves. Now, this time of year, I mean, it's changing. We're coming into spring now, and there'll be changes around. You'll be seeing different birds and animals out there, almost certainly. Are there any visitors that you expect every year that you...
Yes, there are. This is a time when we say goodbye to our geese and winter wildfowl, so they'll be soon flying away from our shores. So they've been gathering in huge numbers on the reserve just recently. We've had something like nearly up to 4,000 Brent geese on in one area of the reserve, not over the whole area, in one particular area of the reserve, and 500 lapwings on the ferry pool. So when a peregrine goes over and puts them up, there's been clouds of birds up in the sky. It's been fantastic. But as I say, they're starting to leave now. So the Brent geese will be heading north to their breeding grounds. The lapwings won't leave us, but they'll disperse into smaller numbers as they compete for breeding areas in the spring. But the new arrivals will be coming in. So the first of those will be likely to be wheatears. Quite a smart little bird that turns up along the shoreline, on the shingle shoreline. Always flies a little bit in front of you and settles, and then flies again and settles. So they'll be coming in. Swiftly followed by, excuse the pun there, a sand martin. So the sand martins will be right behind the wheatears. They'll be coming in off the sea and heading inland. And then, of course, it's that time of year when everything else will start arriving. So all the warblers will soon be starting to arrive. The other hirundines, the swallows, the swifts, the house martins, they'll soon come in as well. A lot of people think of warblers, they think nice songs and everything else, but if you see them, they're actually quite a dull little bird, a lot of them. A lot of them are in the trade known as little brown jobs, or LBJs. But they're not dull by any means when it comes to singing. So one of my favourite sounds of spring is the willow warbler, which looks almost identical to a chiff-chaff. Again, little brown jobs. But their song is a lovely sort of spiralling voice coming down from high to low. So that's fantastic. And of course you've got the chiff-chaffing in the trees.
I've always envied people that can identify birds and wildlife by the noises they make. I really have.
Well, you need to come along on one of our walks, you see, with our guides and our wardens around either reserve. We do those on a monthly basis. So
you're right, I do need to do it because it's something I do have an interest in, and unfortunately I can't walk too far or too quickly. But with the right shoes on and
absolutely. We'd look after
3
you,
or
don't
4
we?
miles should be all right. I should probably be able to manage that. But it just is so interesting. And a great friend of mine was a greenkeeper on a golf course, and he was the same. He could identify all manner of birds and wildlife just by the noises they made. They always intrigued me, and really did.
Yeah, it's something that if you just go out and watch, it's something you pick up just by doing, just by watching, just by listening. There's not any secret to it. It's just that some people spend a bit of time doing it, some people don't.
Now, can we expect any surprises? I mean, obviously, if we could expect them, there wouldn't be surprises. But
Well,
I mean, I do know that on many occasions when I've driven past, there have been big increases in the number of twitchers about, people stood a long line in the rail over the other side of the road, and people up in the hut there looking out.
That's one of the beauties of where Pagham Harbour and Medmerry sit. Has a number of advantages, the two reserves where they sit along the coastline here, because of the peninsula. The Manhood Peninsula juts out into the channel a little bit. It's one of the first places that anything flying will land. So it has an attraction, being that it sticks out a bit, and an attraction to land in that area. The other side is it's very dark skies over it, hence why we do our astronomy nights using the dark skies. But because it's one of the unsport areas along the coastline now, it does have those dark skies, which again is attractive to birds coming in, and they'll feed up before moving on, dispersing across the country. So for that reason, yeah, anything can turn up. So we can't really predict what might turn up. So last year we had a nice little purple patch where we had a black-winged stilt turn up on the ferry pool, followed by a grey phalarope, a redneck phalarope turned up later on. So all these birds have these nice exotic names, but they're quite sweet, pretty little birds to see. But they do cause a bit of a stir, as you may have noticed. At times.
I mean, I was amazed. We were out in the Canary Islands 5 or 6 years ago, or more than that now probably, and saw a bird that I'd never seen before, and I watched it. And when I came back, I described it to one of the chaps I work with, and I was quite excited by it. I wanted to get back, and I wanted to ask him what this bird was, and he said, "Oh, it's a hoopoe, yeah, it's sort of regular bird." And total deflation, yeah. Because I'd seen a bird that I'd never seen before in my life. To him, it was just it's nothing to get too excited about.
Too blasé. Yeah. But even in the birds that we take for granted, and this is why the guys that do the someone to guide you days, where they're down at a certain point on the reserve with their scopes showing people what you can see. That's free. That's a great opportunity to have a look at some of these birds in detail. Because if you get a scope on some of these birds, rather than them looking just ordinary, you really get a feel for the detail of some of the colours of the feathers. Lapwings, for example, if you just look at them, they tend to look just sort of black and dull colour. Get a scope on them, they've got a beautiful green sheen, metallic sheen to them. They're fantastic birds to look in the light. Fantastic. But the other things that we're hoping for this year, we had for the first time that we believe, unless anyone tells us otherwise, we had nightingales breed on the reserve for the first time last spring. Oh, so wow. We're keeping our fingers crossed that they may return this year and continue their success that they had last year.
Well, that would be brilliant, and that certainly give people or local people that have got an interest in birds, that give them something to look forward to. That's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I've just sat here, while we were waiting to record, and just looking out of the window at the bird feeders out there. The different varieties of birds that are coming down those feeders. If I hang them in my garden, I don't get that many. But
well, it's a bit of persistence. Once the birds find the food, they come back regularly. So
I sometimes think it's because I've got a big
discouraged.
aviary. I've got quite a big aviary in the garden, and I sometimes think maybe that's why the other birds don't come down and feed off the feeders. But it's just an education, just sitting there looking out of the window. So if you want to come and look out of the window, and you don't even want to go on a walk, you can do that down here. Well, thanks for coming in, Roy, and giving us an update on what's likely to be happening in and around the Pagham Harbour and Medmerry Reserve. It is, of course, a huge reserve. I don't know how big, but it stretches from here where we are at Pagham across to Bracklesham and Ernley and all down that way. So it's quite a big reserve. There's an awful lot goes on, and the best way to find out what goes on, of course, is to pop your head in and ask, or to have a look out at what's going on, or listen to us, of course, and we'll tell you what's coming up, and then you can either put your name down for that, or you can come over and become a member, and that in itself has got a lot of value. So you can do that, and you can find out exactly what's going on, and of course you can be guided round, and people that know will tell you what you're looking at.
Absolutely. One of the things that I do say is if you're coming for a visit, always pop in the centre. If only to find out what's been seen. If you're going over Medmerry, sometimes a walk across can be a little deceptive coming across the fields there, so we recommend people popping in, and we can give you an up-to-date straight through how to get there and the current state of the footpaths and that type of thing as well. And also the tides, because at high tide some of the paths are impassable, so we can tell you about that. You mentioned about membership just a moment ago, and one of the things that we do say is if you like Pagham Harbour and Medmerry, if you like those areas and you're thinking about becoming a member, do come and do it at the visitor centre rather than online. There's a simple reason for that. For every person that joins at Pagham Harbour Medmerry, we get 75 quid that goes straight to the reserve, and then we can use that for the future in our work that we do here. So that's why we say, please don't do it online. Come and have a chat to us.
Go and do it in person.
Absolutely,
That's a rarity for this
and
day and age.
You know where your money's going, and you can see where it's going, which is fantastic.
Well, that's great stuff. Well, thanks once again, Roy. And I know we're going to be talking to you on a regular basis.
Great.
Now, probably on a monthly basis, so people can listen out for what's going on. But there's nothing like popping in and just having a look and updating yourself with the information. And I would urge people to do that, certainly. Well, we'll see you again soon.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Pleasure. Thanks now, Roy. Bye. You're listening to Manhood Internet Radio, your local information station. And we go across to Kevin now for this week's quiz.
My name's Kevin, and I've got for you this week's little quiz called Kevin's Connection. 5 questions, and the last question is, what connects all the 5 answers? Okay, so this week's quiz. Question number 1. What V-shaped pattern is also a symbol used on highway signs to guide drivers around curves? Question number 2, a paintings question. Which artist's most famous work is The Persistence of Memory? Question number 3. What item do superstitious sailors believe nailing to the mast will help their ship avoid storms? Question number 4. Which Mexican led the 1910 to 1920 Mexican Revolution? Famous name, who was he? And question number 5. Children's literature. Which animal featured with the carpenter in the Lewis Carroll poem? That's your 5 questions. What are the answers and what is the connection?
And of course you can have the answers to those questions next week. And the answers to last week's questions were Cape Town, Made in Chelsea, For Sale by Owner, The Body Shop, Greenland, and the link is that they can all have home somewhere in front of them. And there you go. You'll need to have listened to last week's quiz to understand the questions. My next guest is one of those people that I envy very much. She can get a dog to do almost anything she wants it to do, and I have the dead opposite effect. So we're going to talk to Theresa White now. Theresa, good morning. Now tell us a little bit about yourself, Theresa.
Morning. I run a pet sitting business. I take mainly dogs, but I will do small animals as well. Usually that's in the person's home, but the dogs come to me. They have at mine what they have at home. So if they sleep on the bed at home, they sleep on my bed. Can get very busy on my bed. Luckily I have a double bed with plenty of room, and hubby goes in the other room.
Oh, good old hubby.
Poor hubby. Yes, I know. He's very good.
He's better trained than the dogs, obviously.
Yes. And I've been doing this quite a few years now. I started off at 15 as a poodle clipper. I had my own business by 16. I looked after dogs at my mother's home, 1 or 2 dogs at a time, and I suppose that clued me into what is involved looking after other people's dogs. I had to stop poodle clipping for health reasons after 26 years. And then I sort of went more into the training side. Then I got very interested in behavioural, because I think training and behavioural cross over. And then after that I decided that I would put the feelers out and see if there was anything out there for me to look after some dogs. I've done a piece on this radio before about fibromyalgia, and so I couldn't go out to work, so I needed something to do indoors, and dogs have always been my passion, so that's how I ended up doing what I do.
Well, I know what you're like, and you're so passionate about dogs. I'm the dead opposite, as is well documented. I'm not a doggy person particularly, although in the past I've had a couple of dogs in my life, probably for about 30 years of my life actually. I've only ever had 2 dogs, and they were fantastic and they were lovely to have around, but as I say, I'm not a doggy person, and you know, the thought of picking up dog's poo doesn't appeal to me, so I don't have a dog. Now, unfortunately, there's a big thing going on in Selsey at the moment about people that don't clear up after their dogs. Yes. But don't get me wrong, there are an awful lot of dogs in Selsey, and I guess in the Witterings and everywhere else around, and the majority of owners are very responsible and pick up and clean up after their dogs. But the few that don't seem to become aggressive when they're told about it. And it makes me so mad. It really does. But and I imagine it would do you, because I know you're a responsible dog owner.
Very.
If I've got a dog, which that won't happen, of course, but if I had a dog and I wanted it trained, it wasn't very well behaved, or I might get a puppy and I want it trained from the word go so that it does what it's told, and then it's not so much of a problem. So I can just bring that puppy to you and say, Teresa, teach this dog how to behave itself.
Well, there's no magic wand, and I always know exactly how many hours the people involved, the owners, have put in on their dog. It's almost as if the dog comes back to me and says, they've only done 5 minutes, since I saw you last. Because you can just tell. Same as you can tell if a dog is allowed sweets. If a dog, I had one dog come to me that actually lived in a fish and chip shop, and I peeled a banana and the dog nearly took my face off trying to get to this banana where he'd been fed deep fried bananas from the fish shop owner. So yes, you can. People say to me, when do you start training the puppy? As soon as you pick it up. As soon as you bring it through the door into your house, you start training. And a lot of training can be done as you go along. You can teach a dog to sit, stay, just when you're feeding it. You don't have to have a dog that bolts to the bowl as soon as you put the bowl down, or even before you put the bowl down. So that's ingrained in the dog from the word go. You can teach a dog to leave with the same thing. You can teach a dog to stay outside your kitchen by the door before you feed it, and therefore you can teach it it does that automatically if you want it out there for other reasons, like if you're cooking. So there's lots of things can be done along the way, and people say, I haven't got time. Rubbish. I'm afraid I'm a bit bullshit when it comes to things like this, and I'm known for being outspoken, a bit like Barbara Woodhouse used to be, and I don't go with this, I haven't got time. 5 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day is absolutely nothing. And a puppy's attention span up to the age of about a year is like a gnat's anyway. So you need to keep it short and sharp and interesting, and not like you're reading off a margarine packet, which is what I told one woman when she came to my classes.
So you read about different breeds, or I wouldn't get one of them, they're a nasty type of dog, or you can't train. I know my daughter bought a Basset pup, and he's a lovely dog. He's like a great big bear, and if he bounds up to you, he knocks you over. And of course, he's a puppy.
Yeah.
He's full of life. But they did read website somewhere that Bassets can't really be trained, and that they're a lovely dog, but they pretty much do as they please.
Yeah, but
and
again,
this one seems to be true to the breed, if that's the case.
Yeah. Again, I think it's down to the patience of the owner. There are some breeds that are more stubborn, much more stubborn. I mean, if I could take an example, I love Jack Russells. And Jack Russells are quick to learn, but they are a little bit stubborn because their concentration isn't good, and there's a bird over there, and there's a bit of paper, and you lose them very easily. So you have to be really interesting and keep their attention. Then I had a hound stay with me, a crossbreed hound. He was so easy to train. He just picked it up, tell him once, tell him twice, that was it, he had it. It was the difference was fantastic, and I loved it. So yes, there are some breeds that are more difficult. Red setters, golden setters, all the setters actually, when you think about it. The Bassets, like you say, Afghans. I was told once I would never train my Afghan to recall, and I did. But it's patience, and what you've got to remember in the back of your head is the dog will always give in. Now, it might take an hour, it might take 2 hours, but the dog will always give in because that is their nature, and they are looking for a leader. I'm not keen on this phrase that's bandied around, pack leader and all the rest of it, but dogs are looking for someone who's got their back, someone who's going to protect them, and be the leader. Someone in the household has got to be the leader, as in any establishment. And that's what dogs are looking for. And unfortunately, a lot of dogs take on that role because no one else in the house is doing it. And that is where I have a lot of problems with dogs and owners. You'll get the men who are, this is my dog and he's fantastic and he's this and he's that. But they're still not top dog in that house. They might think they are, but they're not.
Well, I think this Basset proves that. It's his house and you're a visitor.
Yeah,
pretty much,
but it's
yeah.
up to you to get your will over that dog and to lay down the ground rules and to learn the tricks, which is why you go to a trainer, because trainers spend a lot of time, I have, training myself, doing courses, going to seminars, and learning the little tricks of the trade that people say to me, oh, of course, why didn't I think of that? Well, that's your job, that's what I've done, which is why people pay me.
That's
and
right.
I do bespoke training lessons in people's houses. I've tried doing classes and I find that people won't come every week because life gets in the way, so the dog doesn't get continuity. And then people go away and they tend not to do the things you've asked them to do as homework. Whereas if it's bespoke and you're going into their house, you're sort of invading their space and they know you're going to come back next week. And they sort of think, oh, I better do this, I better be on the dog's case and get this training done. And the difference in the dog in a week can be amazing.
Mm-hmm. But as you say, you need continuity in training, even in yourself.
Yeah.
If you go to learn something, it's no good if the class finishes this week and then doesn't start for another 3 weeks.
That's right.
You've forgotten what you learned, basically.
Yeah, of course you have.
So,
yeah.
of course, the dogs will do that. Now, I've got to ask this question because you had so many dogs and you're involved with so many dogs. What's your favourite breed?
Jack Russells.
Jack Russells, definitely.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Jack Russells and German Shepherds. They're my two, yeah.
Little and large.
Little and large, definitely. I do like little and large dogs. German Shepherds are one of the highest, most intelligent dogs that there are, that can hold the most commands in their head. Collies, of course, are up there, and Poodles. They're the three most intelligent breeds. But with intelligence comes the problems, because they're sometimes a bit more intelligent than their owner is. So they outwit them. And you just have to be clued up as to, oh, hang on, what's going on here? No, I'm not having that. And sort of get your will over theirs, but not in a nasty way. There's no way I agree with all the nasty way. Years and years ago, you used to train a dog with sheer force. Whereas now it's all the pleasant things. The dog has to associate training and doing the right thing, like sitting, staying, whatever, with good things, good treats. And I say to people, if you're going to train your dog, high quality treats. It's no good giving them the same thing as they eat every day. They need something high quality. It's the difference between working for a fiver or working for 15 quid. Because, and what would you do? You'd go for the job with 15 quid.
Yes.
So, you need the high quality treats, chicken, cheese, sausage, bits of sausage cut up, and just keep it for training. Don't use it for anything else.
And then the dog is aware, of course, that he needs to do what he's told to get
and
that
some
treat.
dogs
That
are not.
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, some dogs are not food motivated, so then you have to find another button to press. So it can be, usually collies, it's a squeaky toy because they're obsessed with anything like that. You know what collies are like, or a special toy that they like, or it can just be a really big cuddle and lots of praise. Some dogs will blossom with that. So yeah, you just have to find the right buttons to press.
Well, I honestly wouldn't know where to start looking to train a dog. So if I had a dog, which I won't, of course, as I said earlier, but if I did, I'd certainly bring it to somebody like yourself, or to yourself especially, to get it trained.
Yeah.
Now, how long does it take to train an average? So I know there's lots of variables, but a lot of people will be thinking, well, it's all right, you're spouting about getting a dog trained, but that costs money, and how long is it going to take, and how much is it going to cost? And I know that's virtually, that's the same as asking how long's a piece of string.
It is, yeah.
Because it depends on the dog, and perhaps on the breed, and certainly perhaps on the owner.
On the owner more than anything else, to be honest. Breed comes down the list a bit on that. It depends how much time you're going to put in. I always say, when I do the bespoke training in people's homes, I'm not out to make loads and loads of money out of you. What I'm out to do is to see a happy dog. And a well-trained dog is a happy dog. And a happier owner, of course. I'm all about the dog. If you don't like what I'm doing or what I'm telling you you've got to do, tough. Either go to somebody else, or accept you've got to do this temporarily until the dog is trained. Then you can ease off a bit, and the dog can still be your baby or whatever, but at the end of the day, you've invited an animal into your house, and an animal needs to be trained. So it can take, I suppose, by the time the dog is 6 months old, it should be reasonably trained. That doesn't mean to say, oh, I've come to your house for 6 months and you've paid me. That's utterly ridiculous. Sometimes I go twice. Sometimes I go 3 or 4 times. It depends on the dog. If the dog's older and needs training, sometimes they've had what they call a learnt behaviour. For example, I had one dog, Jack Russell, lovely little dog. A couple of things that it did that the owners didn't like, and one was the minute they went to the back door to open the back door, as they held the handle, the dog would jump up and bite their hand because he was so excited at getting out into the back garden. But it didn't matter how many times a day they did this, he still did it. So I managed to stop that dog. It's one of my success cases, so I will blow my own trumpet here. I managed to stop that dog in less than 5 minutes from doing that, which was alert behaviour, and he was about 5.
I thought he was going to say, you went to the front door instead.
Yeah, ring the front doorbell, yeah. So, and once they realised how to stop it, wow, and it changed their lives in as much as, it's a bit dramatic, but in as much as they didn't have to worry about that anymore. They didn't worry about the elder child going to the door and perhaps getting bitten inadvertently. It was only where the dog was excited. It wasn't a nasty dog. And so, as I say, that took 5 minutes, but it can take an hour. I once had a dog who would not stop demanding for its food. It sat and barked, 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 barked. I won't give in. So I put its food on the side, and it took me 3/4 of an hour before that dog worked out he wasn't getting that food until he shut up. But I sat there, we did it, didn't do it again the next time.
It would turn me from a dog whisperer into a dog screamer if the dog kept barking. With some people it's their fingernails on a chalkboard, knives on a plate. With me, it's dogs barking. I cannot stand dogs barking.
No.
Needless to say, we don't visit my daughter as often as we used to because the dog barks a lot. And he barks because he's excited.
He's excited.
But it's just one of those things. But I think I might have found the answer to my problems now. So now, if people want to contact you, they want their dogs trained. You're based in the Witterings, I believe. I'm in Ernley, just outside the Witterings. Okay, yeah. And if people want their dogs trained, or they like to talk to you and discuss it, how can they get hold of you? Well, I have got a Facebook page. It's called Theresa's Dogs, and you can contact me through that. Dogs is all in capitals, and Theresa is capital T and then lowercase. Or they can phone me. I've got a landline, which is 01243 670 783. And I'm very well known. If you go to the vets that are in Burdham, they have my card up and my number in there as well. Okay, well, that's brilliant. Well, thanks for coming in today, Theresa, and I know you're going to be coming back on various occasions and giving us some updates and some pearls of wisdom about training your dogs. Hopefully. Well, I'm sure we'll look forward to that, because people like to have, or like to feel that they've contributed at least something to their training of their dog, and not left it solely to somebody else to do. Yes, of course. It's almost like that dog becomes the trainer's dog and not their dog. Yeah, so owner involvement is very important. So I'm sure people, will listen intently to that, and it'll be good to see you again. Yeah. And I hope that people that need their dogs trained, and maybe you can train the owners to bend down and pick up their dog's poo as well. And if that happens just to one person, I agree. I would treat it as a total success. Yes. And we'll see you again soon. Okay. Bye now, Theresa. Bye.
Time now for a look at the weather. Well, it looks like we're in for a good week, actually. Tuesday should be some broken sunshine, but warm enough at 13 degrees. Wednesday also dry, broken sunshine. Temperature dropping just a couple of degrees down to 11. Winds fairly mild at 16 miles an hour. Thursday looks like it's going to be a nice sunny day, and a temperature of 13 degrees, and a wind speed down at 12 miles an hour. Friday much the same, 13 degrees, nice dry day, and a wind speed dropping off to 7 miles an hour, so better still. Saturday there's a bit of cloud about, but should be dry, shouldn't be any rain, and wind speeds at 10 miles an hour. And Sunday, well, Sundays are going to be a lovely day again. Wind speed 7 miles an hour, top temperature of 11 degrees. So all in all, quite a nice, bright, sunny week to look forward to. And that's about it for this week. You've been listening to Manhood Internet Radio. My name's Keith Barnes, and on behalf of myself and producer John Fletcher, I'd like to say thanks for joining us, and join us again soon. Bye for now.